come out in favour through that communication of keeping this American organisation. But at the same time, I believe we should propose a thoroughgoing reform of ICANN. Now, this is the idea I'm trying to put into this report I'm drafting. The thing is, ICANN needs reform and reorganisation in an appropriate way, of course. Don't forget that cyberspace is an area of freedom, innovation and flexibility. It's an area which can adapt, it's capable of adapting and changing, but we shouldn't forget ever that the central organisation of this area is ICANN, which is rigid and immobile. The world of the Internet is dynamic, and this dynamism, therefore, should be reflected in ICANN, the governing organisation. So, as I say, this is an American organisation which is in charge of Internet governance throughout the world at the moment. So I think we have to come up with some sort of reaction, as it were, to ICANN, and this is what we're proposing through this parliamentary report. Now, in my modest opinion, we believe we should stress that the Internet is, first of all, public property, a public property whose unilateral governance under the authority of a single government has given rise to a great deal of criticism. The European Union, therefore, should develop a strategy which reflects a consensual vision, combining the points of view of different parts of the world on how the Internet should be governed. And these points of view have all been expressed in international organisations and between individual countries around the world in their relations with the United States. All these views have been expressed. Now, your rapporteur would say that together with the Commission's communication, we should use the Commission's communication to maintain this basic situation in which the private sector is fundamental to the governance of Internet. Now, in this very special context, the governance of the Internet, we have to be able to combine private interests and public interests, and private and public objectives. This is one of the underlying characteristics of the Internet, and indeed the way it should be governed. So together with ICANN, if this report is adopted, we believe that this organisation, ICANN, should be subject to a number of revision panels which already exist within ICANN, because in these panels you can have represented the interests of the different regions of the world, and that's to say the geographic diversity of the world, of all the countries concerned with the governance of the Internet. So our first idea would be to activate all those mechanisms which are already in place. That's to say the revision panels which are already there to consider the way ICANN should govern the Internet. Also, in my report, I want to stress the importance of the GAC, the Intergovernmental Organisation, which is a consultative body, an advisory body for the ICANN, which issues recommendations. And we believe that this body should play a full role so that through this body we can have reflected the various geographic regions of the world in the governance of the Internet. We also have to make sure that the high-ranking staff, or the senior staff in ICANN, should be properly qualified and experienced. And also, we have to make sure that ICANN funds are properly governed and properly administered. Most of these funds are of United States origin at the moment, and we believe there should be more diversification and rigorous management of ICANN funds. as I said, this is an American organization, and we believe that the Internet Government or Governance Forum should also remain in place. This organization has been a major success because in that forum it's possible for all concerned sectors to express their views freely and productively without let or hindrance. So that body is able to analyse all aspects of Internet governance. Now, we believe, nevertheless, that this particular organisation, the Forum, needs some reorganisation, and I've outlined some of those reforms in this document. So that's the Internet Governance Forum. But I repeat, in this document we're seeking to support the work of the European Commission and the Spanish and Belgian presidencies, and we look forward to the next meeting of the International Forum when it meets in Vilnius at the end of this year. Now, you'll all be aware that the Internet is a forum in which all kinds of news appears all the time, from newspapers, from press organisations. So there are still a number of issues which I haven't dealt with in this report, but which are of enormous interest. And I think here it's important that the European institutions could consider these matters. We've already heard some of what I'm talking about in the debate on Mrs. Castillo's document, but there are other matters which are of relevance being considered by the European Union. For example, the question of guaranteeing pluralism and open access to the network, the freedom of the network. There has to be security for the Internet from attack. There has to be defence of private life. There has to be defence of intellectual property and guarantee of cultural freedom for all users. We have to be able to fight crime using the Internet, and also we have to be able to defend minority rights. And also we have to be able to protect the rights of minors and young people. Now, there are documents on all these issues being considered by the various European Union institutions. Now, from here, in this committee, as your rapporteur, I would say that these particular issues should be dealt with in these other documents which are being considered by the various European institutions. They are well on their way to adoption. But our brief here in this report is to consider, strictly speaking, Internet governance, and that's to say the administrative structures which should be made available to those responsible for administering the Internet. So I believe we should support the Spanish presidency's initiative. They are suggesting that we draw up a Charter of Internet Users' Rights, and we also support the proposal to recognise the fifth EU fundamental freedom, namely to a freedom to have Internet access. With respect to the EU's own organisation and internal functioning, we believe there should be strong coordination between the European institutions in their relations with ICANN, as these are not always rational. That is to say, the relations between the European institutions and this organisation, this American organisation, the ICANN, right at the moment, our relations with ICANN are not exactly rational or organised along classic administrative lines. There's a great deal of lack of coordination between what the Commission does, what the Council does, what the Parliament does vis-à-vis ICANN. And I think here we have an opportunity to coordinate our positions